Alpha 3.14 has hit the servers, and if you're anything like me, that doesn't mean it's time to test the new servers. It means it's time to look ahead and see what's coming up next. Luckily for us, yesterday's Roadmap Roundup was exactly what we needed, with tons and tons of surprises, as well as some nice updates about what's coming in 3.15. Now I have to talk about this first, because if I don't, I'm going to be thinking about it for the entire video. We've got 3 new ships added to the progress tracker, that being the Transporter, the Crusader Genesis Starliner, a new ground vehicle, the RSI Lynx, and the best ship in the game ever, the RSI Orion. These were not vehicles I was expecting them to put onto the roadmap, and 2022 looks like it's going to be pretty insane because of it. The Orion, the extremely large mining platform, was a vehicle that most of us were expecting to come very, very late into the game, and likely just before the game goes live. But it seems like we could be getting it very early next year. The Starliner, another player favorite, one that we probably weren't expecting to come in until we actually get the mechanics for passenger transport. But this could mean that by the end of next year, we do in fact get those passenger transport mechanics. Having the both of these on the roadmap now, especially with all of the unannounced ships that are already on there, means we are looking for a really, really exciting 18 months where most likely every patch is going to have some pretty game-changing ships. I mean, even 3.15 itself, which has some changes today, has ships like the A2 and the Redeemer, both promising to completely change the landscape of Star Citizen as it is. But other than that, there was a bunch of changes with the progress tracker itself. They have renamed some teams just to make life a little bit easier for everyone. So now the LZ1 content team is named the EU Landing Zone, the MTL Modular is renamed the MTL Sandbox 1, and the Modular is renamed to EU Sandbox 1. Now, obviously these teams don't actually change at all, but it does sort of help us get a better understanding of what's going on in the progress tracker itself. In addition, they did also mention that there is a new team being added to the roadmap soon, EU Sandbox 2. So we'll have a look at the future roadmap roundups to see what's going on there. A big reason why they've done this is the live mission content team is now no longer its own team and is integrated into the locations teams, including the deliverables. So, newly added deliverables, what have we got this time? Well, we've got Targeting V2. This is an expansion of the targeting system to support missiles with improved management of targets for both the pilot and crew of the ship. This one makes a lot of sense, as we did just get the new missile operator mode in 3.14. Plasma ammunition. Further work on this damage type will cause damage over time to actors, vehicles, and ships. Larger weapons of this type will also leave behind a hazard, causing further damage to anything in close proximity to it. This will fulfill the original vision we had for the plasma weapons we already have in game and those we have planned for the future. We've got incendiary ammunition. This is the ammunition that burns targets. Disarray ammunition. This is a new charged ballistic projectile that emits electromagnetic pulses, helping to not only damage the target but also to disrupt power systems. I assume this is sort of a ballistic version of distortion weapons, though we'll have to see once it actually gets added in. Space mines have been re-added to the progress tracker. They got removed a couple of roadmap roundups ago, as they got disconnected from bombs. In space, players in certain ships will gain the ability to release different types of space mines in a coordinated fashion in an attempt to trap, damage, and capture enemies or set up defensive perimeters. Save load feature. This feature will also handle the creation of the save system across Squadron 42, including player data, checkpoints, and UI. Part of the system will also store and load dynamic entities, NPC positions, and data associated with object containers, which for me shows that they're getting very, very close to a version of Squadron 42 where we can play more or less the entire game, actually needing save points now. They added in aerodynamic control surfaces as well, so ships with control surfaces will be able to use them in atmospheres to aid their maneuverability. This will allow for improved performance from ships that have weak maneuvering thrusters in the atmosphere and bring new depth to aerodynamic flight in the game. In addition to that, there's a couple of things that have been moved as the location teams change their planning. We've got Cutting T2, Charge Drain Tier 0, Ground Vehicles V2, the Akuro Cluster, the Ground Scramble Race, Reputation Gates for Missions, Counterfeiting and Data Download missions. All of those are temporarily being moved. And then bringing back from into the progress tracker, we have the Dynamic Population, Ladders T1, and Actor Status T2. All of that's been put back on the progress tracker. We don't actually know when those will be released, but most of those are being put into mid to late 2022. So we'll likely see those in some late patches next year. Now, into the release view. 3.15 has had a couple of things been added to it, which is quite nice. So first off, we've got the new Babbage and Orison hospitals, in addition to the rest stops at the space stations and the Grimhex Clinic. This is all to do with the new Tier 0 healing tech that's coming out. So these will basically be your revive spots or your respawn points, as well as places for you to heal yourself, perhaps fix broken limbs, get yourself some insurance, and be ready to go out into the verse and take some damage. We also have a bunch of things to do with the new loot system that's coming out. So we've got the loot generation tier 0, we've got the asset manager on the mobiGlas, and we've also got physical and local inventory support. All of this sort of come together to use the new dynamic item system that they're using. So you'll actually be able to go down to a mission spot, get some loot, take it over to a shop and sell it, as well as with the new asset manager mobiGlas app, making it a lot easier for you to find out what you've got, equip your items, all that sort of stuff. As I'm sure you know, the current mobiGlas app is not particularly ideal. They had a great segment on Star Citizen Live last week, actually, where they were talked about a lot of this stuff, so I highly recommend having a look at that if you wanted to look a bit more into the loot generation and the inventory support. But I'm sure we'll see a bunch more of this going forward. In addition, we've also got Infiltrate and Defend missions being added to 3.15 as well, which I am always a massive fan of new missions. So underground facilities are the first place to benefit from the addition of spawn closets, which allow us to expand the suite of missions taking place there. Missions range from all-out assaults to situations where you may be able to complete objectives without the need to engage in combat at all, and include both lawful and unlawful variants. Now, this is where you're going to be getting the majority of your loot, so a big fan of these new missions, and I'm very excited to try them out. We also have updates to the Broken Moon map on Arena Commander. They're increasing the size, making new playable areas, more cover options. They're completely redoing it, making it a lot more fun, which I don't know about you guys, but ever since 3.14 I've been playing a lot more Arena Commander, trying out a lot more ships there, as Space Combat does feel to be a lot more fun at the moment, so it's nice just to jump in and get some shooting done every now and then. Shops and patrons, once again, this sort of goes into the loot system, vastly expand the interactive usables needed for an assortment of shops and patrons. We'll be populating dozens of shops with the vendor behavior previously seen in the bartender. This will include the coffee stand, pizza bar, kiosks, and more. Doctor and nurse AI behaviors. With all these fancy new hospitals and the fact that we're going to be spawning there now, it'd be nice to actually have some AI there to greet us. So when the player respawns in the medical bed, they will be greeted by a doctor with dialogue, and a nurse can be seen in the background, interacting with various medical themed usables, the medical tray, the IV drip, and inspecting the medicine cabinet. This will add life and movement to the patient's room when he awakes. Injured players that enter the room will also be greeted by the doctor and encouraged to heal themselves in the medical bed. As always, things like this are absolutely fantastic. It gives you a really nice feel of what's going on and feels like the hospital is actually being used correctly. There are some concerns already about how it will affect server performance, but as always, I guess we'll just have to see. And Orison V2. This feature, originally slated for a Q4 release window, has moved up to the release during the 3.15 patch cycle. This is actually really big. The reason why it's so big is that it means we could possibly be getting the Discovery Whale Tours, we could be possibly getting the Crow's Customs, a lot of part of Orison, which has been fantastic. But a lot of the stuff that is missing there is coming earlier than we thought, so that's really nice to see. We'll just have to see exactly what it entails. Obviously, a lot more of the shops, the concierge platform, all that sort of stuff is going to be there, but I'm very excited for it. 3.16 got added the Area 18 Hospital, 3.17 got added the Lawville Hospital, so both of those have been added into the next couple of patches to sort of go along with all of the new medical gameplay. And only one thing has been removed from the release view, which is the ship interior OC streaming. This feature is being rescheduled due to other core tech tasks taking a higher priority. For this reason, we're removing it from the release view until plans for the feature have been finalized. Now, I know this is very disappointing to a lot of people, as this was one of the features that we were very much expecting to increase stability on servers and decrease performance issues that people are having. If you don't know what the ship interior OC streaming, basically right now what the game does is it streams the entire interior of a vehicle that's around you, which, you know, that's going to affect performance even when you can't see it, whereas the ship interior OC streaming would be, hey, you don't actually need to, you know, load this into your game. That's it for the Roadmap Roundup this week. Some very fun stuff. Tell me in the comments below what you're most excited about from the stuff there, and why is it the RSI Orion? I myself am extremely excited. I did not expect this to be put on the progress tracker so early. Obviously, it could be taken off if things arise, but the fact that it is on there gives me plenty of hope and makes me think that it is something they want in-game sooner rather than later. If you like my videos, consider giving a like and subscribe, and follow me over on twitch.tv/Croncy. I stream there almost every day, pretty much only Star Citizen. And I also have a regular race series coming up with prizes for Star Citizen called the Mountains of Mayhem, so check that out as well. Other than that though, thanks guys for watching today, have a good one, and keep safe, citizens.